Start with breaking news out of Nashville. A masked man is dead after trying to rob a Burger King in the Rivergate area just north of Madison. News Channel 5 Dan Kennedy live from the scene for us this morning. And Dan, we just want to make sure we're clear here. There is one dead and one critically injured.
Yeah, that employee is critically injured, undergoing surgery at Vanderbilt after being shot several times. I'll wait for this ambulance to pass real quick. Fire truck passing us right now in Madison. It happened at this Burger King at about 11:20 last night. We're told several masked men walked in with guns ready to rob the employees inside. Inside this restaurant, there were several employees. They were still open for another 30 minutes or so. And then at some point, while it's still unclear what all unfolded inside this restaurant, one of those employees was shot several times in the torso and again taken to the hospital in critical condition, undergoing surgery at this hour. And then at some point as well, one of those masked men was also shot and killed. That suspect died at the scene. The other two suspects then took off in a white sedan, still have not yet been found. So to recap, one of those suspects was killed here at this Burger King, one employee injured in the shooting. We hope to have an update on that person's condition a little later this morning, as well as the name of that suspect who was killed. Reporting live from Burger King in Madison, Dan Kennedy, News Channel 5.
Thank you, Dan. And it is a moment the world watched. President Trump shakes the hand of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
Just hours ago, the president announced he and Kim Jong-un have agreed on the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. It's a big step for the U.S. and the Korean Peninsula.
But both sides agree. Now comes the hard part. News Channel 5's Nick Barris is in the 5 Alert Center with highlights of this historic meeting. And Nick, you know, that handshake really was a big deal for North Korea. Just that. Yeah.
That's exactly right. You know, Amy, that was the big photo op, wasn't it? We've seen it over and over. Symbolically, a huge deal for Kim Jong-un meeting with the leader of the free world, something that he desperately wanted. But the important thing, really, the substance of the talks. Here's what you need to know if you're just getting up this morning trying to catch up on what happened with the summit, all right? Symbolically, as we said, the meeting, a big deal. But the 5-hour summit in Singapore ended just a few hours ago. And the main thing here, two leaders signed an agreement for the denuclearization of North Korea. In return, the U.S. will guarantee the security of North Korea. So how long will this process take?
It does take a long time to, pull off complete denuclearization. It takes a long time. Scientifically, you have to wait certain periods of time, and a lot of things happen. But despite that, once you start the process, it means it's pretty much over. You can't use them. That's the good news. And that's going to start very, very soon. I believe that's going to start very soon.
All agree the agreement is good, but the key now is going to be verification, all right? Agreeing to denuclearization is one thing. The bottom line, U.S. diplomats say they're going to have to see actual proof of North Korea dismantling their nuclear research program. And based on past experience with North Korea, sometimes that is not so easy to do. But certainly what happened at this summit is a new beginning, and hopefully they'll go from there. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Nick, thank you. More breaking news overnight. A woman gets angry and goes after her boyfriend with a knife. Metro Police were called to a home on Radnor Street around 12:30 this morning. The victim told officers his girlfriend bit, punched, and then stabbed him in the side. The man was taken to the hospital and is expected to be all right, but the suspect is on the run. Her name has not been released.
A 1-year-old child is left alone in a car for hours, and now his caretaker's in jail. Clarksville police say the child was left in that car for 4 hours with no AC. Thankfully, the baby is okay this morning. 24-year-old DeMarcus Lynch is now charged with aggravated child abuse and neglect, as well as public intoxication. Police found Lynch in a store parking lot, asleep by a stop sign, and then they found the child in his car. The relationship between the two is unclear right now.
A tragic story out of Kentucky where police are investigating the death of a 2-year-old who was left inside a hot car over the weekend. Temperatures were in the 90s when it happened, and Crittenden officers say right now it isn't clear how the little girl ended up in the car. And this happened in Crittenden, Kentucky, which is just north of Louisville, not Crittenden County, which is in western Kentucky. No charges so far have been filed against the parent. And some questions this morning surrounding a potential clue found in the search for little Joe Clyde Daniels.
That possible clue had a lot of people talking. Last week's discovery of a blanket gave a spark of hope to the community, but now it's looking like the blanket is not a match. It was found by crews searching for the 5-year-old boy's body last week off CCC Road in Dixon County. Right now, the TBI isn't saying whether any tests have been done on that item. However, a person close to the investigation tells News Channel 5 the blanket is not connected to the case. And the owner of the property where the blanket was found says it could be his, left behind after it got wet during a camping trip. Our search crews were out again this past weekend looking for the child's remains, but still they haven't found anything, and there are no future searches scheduled right now. The 5-year-old has been missing for nearly 10 weeks. A new development in a 2017 shooting. A second person now faces murder charges in this case. A grand jury indicted the woman you see there, Amanda Henson, on first-degree murder charges in the death of John Beers at a home on Chesapeake Drive. The 28-year-old is now in jail. Her co-defendant, Kevin Williams, was charged with murder back in June of last year.
He's accused of ramming his truck into another vehicle several times and firing a gun. Jordan Hinman was arrested in Giles County after police say he chased down his ex-wife who was in that other vehicle. Police say he not only hit the truck's window with the butt of his rifle, chased her down the road, but then he also shot at that vehicle. Hinman is charged with attempted murder. And students in Nashville are taking part in a national protest against gun violence today. Williamson County students plan to hold a die-in at the state capitol. Those students plan to lie down at Legislative Plaza. Today's date was chosen to honor the 2nd anniversary of the Pulse nightclub massacre in Florida.
Talks continue in Mount Juliet about transforming a plot of land into 200 units of apartments, an apartment complex there. The commissioners heard from the public last night about that development, which will be built along North Mount Juliet Road near the train station. Those for the rezoning ordinance include the mayor, and they say the complex will bring in more housing and more customers to local businesses. Those who oppose it say it will create too much traffic on nearby roads.